Bookish Fiends, and today I want to talk about all the books that I purchased this past November. So this November, I went a little wild and I purchased a lot of different books, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that I have started book thrifting, and I have been going to half price books more, and I have been ordering books on Pango Books because, I mean, you can't pass up the deals. You can't pass up those prices. And yeah, so I got a lot of books this month, a lot for me. So let's jump into it. One of the books that I purchased is something that I want to prioritize and read this winter. I want to read more classics coming up. So I purchased John Steinbeck, The Grapes of Wrath. This is something that I remember in high school us reading and kind of talking about and discussing. And I did enjoy John Steinbeck when I was in high school. I loved reading his works. They were very thought-provoking and very interesting. So I can't wait to refresh my memory on this story and reread this and catch up on all of that and dig into this. The next book that I purchased is I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Mackay. And this, I remember stumbling across it a long while ago and being very interested in the premise of this story. To my knowledge, what little that I remember about the synopsis, it involves or entails a professor who has a kind of disturbing past at this boarding school, and she experienced her roommate being killed, and she is invited back to teach at this boarding school, but she just can't grapple with the past, can't grapple with the things that happened, and she kind of stumbles down this rabbit hole of trying to discover the truth. And of course, things happen, consequences are experienced, and I don't know, this sounds like a very interesting story, and I picked it up at a bookstore, and yeah, looking forward to reading this. The next book I purchased is The Good Girl by Mary Kubica. So this is a book that I have read before a long time ago, and I think I lent this book out to someone and I never got it back. So I wanted to repurchase it because I love this book. This was a 5-star book and I really loved it, and I'm looking forward to rereading it. So this story is about a kidnapping gone awry and how everything in this situation, everything with this abduction is not exactly as it seems or not exactly what you think it is. This is a very interesting story and can't wait to read it again. The next book I purchased is Quiet by Susan Cain, and this story explores the hidden power of introverts and kind of how extroversion is celebrated and popular in our culture, and how we kind of undermine or we kind of diminish the impact and the importance of others who are introverted and don't have extroverted personalities. But she shares stories of successful introverts and how they navigate the world and why we are also important and valued as well. So want to read this. The next book I purchased is Lisa TerKeurst, Good Boundaries and Goodbyes. And so as a reformed people pleaser, I'm always working to find ways to become better at being firm and establishing boundaries in the different relationships within my life. And this book, I believe, will be very helpful and insightful in helping me to navigate that so that I can become better and more confident in enforcing boundaries and creating boundaries to honor myself and just to honor the space, just to honor myself and just to honor like my right to take up space and my right to live my life the way that I want to live it. So definitely cannot wait and look forward to reading this. The next book I purchased is The Wedding People by Allison Esbach, and I've heard so many good things about this book. So many good reviews, and I am so interested in reading this. I know that this is one of the Goodreads nominees for 2024, so I'm definitely planning to read it soon, see what it's all about, and just have a good time with it. The next book I purchased is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now this is, I feel like it needs no introduction. It introduces itself. It is a highly popular romantasy that I have gotten by the past few years not reading, but I'm curious and I want to know what it's all about, and I want to kiki and laugh with all the other girls. So I plan on reading this this winter, probably more likely in December, so that I can get through the first 2 books of this series and potentially be able to pick up the 3rd installment in January. So looking forward to reading this fairly soon. Next book I purchased is Heartless by Marissa Myers, which is a kind of Queen of Hearts retelling, or Queen of Hearts, I don't know, origin story or villain story, or I don't know. But I'm interested in reading this as a person that loves Alice in Wonderland, and I love the Queen of Hearts, and looking forward to reading this book as well. The next book I picked up is This Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi, and this book is stunning. It is so gorgeous, like so flippin' beautiful. And in addition to it just being a beautiful freaking book, I have heard so many good things about this series, and I am so excited to dig into this, to read it, and to just be immersed in this world, because from what I hear, it's very lyrical. It's very, you know, whimsical, and I can't wait to dive into it and find out more about this world. The next book that I purchased is The Host by Stephanie Meyer. I read this a long time ago and I enjoyed this story, but I don't remember all the particulars of this story. So I do remember it being about an alien race basically taking over the minds of what they deem as the host and kind of overriding the soul or the essence of the person. But in this particular instance, or this case, when it comes to what's her name, Melanie Strider, she's refusing to relinquish and give control of her body to the alien invasion. And then something kind of happens where Melanie's desire for her love, her first love, I'm guessing, Jared, begins to overtake the actual alien that's trying to take over her. And the alien begins to kind of develop affections and feelings towards Jared as well. And their desire kind of meshes together, and they go to seek out and find Jared, as he's suspected of hiding from these aliens to prevent from becoming like invaded by an alien. So I remember this story being very interesting and very neat, and I liked it. So I saw it at Half Price Books, and I didn't think, grabbed it, put it in my cart, and here we are now. The next book I picked up is One of Us is Back by Karen McManus, and this is the last book in the trilogy. I have been anxiously awaiting this book because they only had it in the hardcover version, and the other 2 books I have are paperback, and I just don't like it. It wasn't going to work. So I've been waiting for the paperback version, and the time has arrived that I get to finish this trilogy and see all that entails in this installment. Looking forward to reading this. The next book that I picked up is Pictures of You by Emma Gray, which I can't wait to read this book because she is such a poignant and talented writer. Her last book, The Last Love Note that she wrote, was such an amazing exploration on grief of a spouse due to loss of dementia, and it was just an amazing story and just amazing exploration, and all the emotions that she went through. It was so beautiful and so well told and so well executed. And I'm looking forward to this story from her as we meet a woman who has gone through a horrific accident and has lost her husband, but she's trapped in the mind of when she was 16, and she's not really registering where she is now and trying to remember all of those things about her husband and her life up to this point where she is now. And I think that this is going to be a very interesting, very emotional story, and I'm really excited to read this. Next book I picked up is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna, and this book is so gorgeous. I mean, look at this book. Oh, it is such a beautiful edition, and I can't wait to dive into it, can't wait to read it. Don't have any idea what it's about. I'm gonna be for real. I have no idea what the story is about, but this cover, it's going to be good. It's going to be so good, and I can't wait to read it. The next book I picked up is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, and I was inspired to pick up and start this quartet because I read Air, and I didn't really realize that there was a whole other series before Air, and that Air is set pretty much, I think, 20 years after the events of this series. So when I was reading it, I was a little lost, and you know, I enjoyed my time. I gave it 5 fabulous stars, but I really was like, I want to go back and read the original quartet, read the original series, see all that happens in there so that everything in Air can make that much more sense and have a much more stronger emotional impact for me. So here we are with me getting ready to start my journey on reading this series, and I'm super duper excited. The next book I picked up this month is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, and the reason that I grabbed this is because I have seen so many people talk about how amazing this book is and how amazing this story is, and I don't know, I want to know what all the fuss is about. I want to see if I would like this as well. So what I gather, this story is about a young woman named Adeline effectively choosing immortality and never being known by anyone again, or never being remembered by anyone again, to obtain that immortality. And then many years later, she wanders into a bookstore and someone remembers her, and everything changes from that point on. So really looking forward to reading this story. Next book I picked up the second book in the Belladonna series, Foxglove, and I'm so excited about reading this book because I really am enjoying this series, and I think it's so interesting. So it's such a silly, goofy time. I love it. So I can't wait to continue on in this series and pick up where we left off, because the first book, Belladonna, ends on a cliffhanger, and I am anxious to know what happens to the characters in these stories. The next book I picked up is City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. So I love Elizabeth Gilbert. I read Eat, Pray, Love, and I read Big Magic by her, and I enjoyed both of these books. I enjoyed them very much, especially Eat, Pray, Love. Oh, it's one of my favorites. And I saw this, and I'm gonna be honest, I rarely do this, but I have no idea what this book is about. I haven't even read the synopsis, and that's completely fine. I know it's gonna be an amazing book and an awesome time, and it's going to be a great exploration of womanhood and what it means to be a woman. I'm just positive. This is the vibes it's giving, and I can't wait to read this book. The next thing I purchased was the entire series of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King. So I picked these up because I am determined to read this series, because I've never read the freaking Lord of the Rings, and like, do I even love fantasy if I haven't read this? Like, seriously? So I'm gonna right that wrong, and this winter, I'm going to be reading the series from beginning to end, and I'm so excited about this. Totally can't wait. Looking forward to it. It's gonna be an amazing time. And finally, the last book that I picked up this month is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, because again, all the girlies swear by this. They talk about the Bat Boys. They talk about this story to ad nauseum, and I just want to know what the fuss is about. I'm just curious. I just want to know. I want to giggle and kiki with everyone else. So I'll be reading this book as well. Hopefully sometime this winter I'll be diving into this series and seeing what all the fuss is about, because I'm curious. So those are all the books that I purchased this month, this past November. Have you read any of these books? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What should I read first? Where should I go? What should I do? Or tell me in the comments below. And also share with me what books that you're anxious to read that you've purchased this past month that you just can't wait to dive into. Until next time, I will see you in the next video. Bye.